Hey there. So today I wanted to take a look at this book here. This is the Absolute Batman Ashcan that was given away at San Diego Comic-Con this year. I wasn't able to attend the convention, but I was able to procure one of these after the fact on the Electronic Bay. So yeah, I really wanted to take a look at this book, see what it's all about. Since it's our first look at Absolute Batman and the Absolute line that's coming from DC. The copy I got was signed by writer Scott Snyder, so that's kind of a fun little bonus. Spoilers for this. I want to take a look at this. I feel like I don't say that on the channel as much as I should. So starting off here, we just have sort of an intro page, sort of setting up the Absolute universe. Then we have this short section of story here with no dialogue. There's sound effects and stuff, but there's no captions or dialogue as to what's going on here. So it starts off, we see this guy up on a rooftop, and it doesn't say in this book, but we have seen other concept art, and they've talked about this book a little bit, and so it looks like this is the version of Alfred we're getting in this book. So he's up on a rooftop kind of looking down, and I think this is a bank. And we get our first look at Batman here hanging upside down like a bat. And we have all these criminals start shooting at him. We see a lot of bullets ricocheting off his suit here. So it looks like his suit is pretty bulletproof in this version. And then we have big splash page with Batman kind of jumping down onto the criminals. Again, pretty typical Batman scene. We got a lot going on here. Some interesting things visually with the cape, which kind of looks like wings in this case, like it might be like part of a flight suit, it looks like. So you might have a Batman who flies around a little bit. This is also a good time to bring up, this is a very stocky Batman. Everyone's been calling him Thick Boy Batman online and that kind of thing. So yeah, definitely a bigger Batman that we're used to seeing. More like Dark Knight Returns, with like an older Batman, but I don't think that's the case here. Then we have him, fighting some of these villains. We've got him kind of using the wings pretty offensively here, which he has a little bit in the comics with his cape before, but it's not very often that you see that. So that's kind of interesting that they're doing that here. We're seeing the bad guys all have these skull masks. This might be this version of the False Face Society. I know Black Mask is supposed to be an early villain here, they've said, but we don't really see him in this book here. Yeah, then we get another shot here of Thick Boy Batman doing some gymnastics and knocking these guys out with his tree trunk legs he has here. So yeah, kind of interesting. Then we see, Alfred here just kind of not participating, but just kind of checking things out here. Looks like he's maybe just sort of backup here for Batman. So yeah, he's not taking part in the fight here, but looks like he's, got Batman's back here. So that's kind of interesting, Alfred being out in the field with him, as opposed to just sort of running support from, the cave or Wayne Manor. Then we have an interesting sequence where we see Batman take off his ears and throw them like they're knives at the villains, and, they stick into this guy. We also see the sort of blades on his gauntlet come out like they're retractable, which is interesting and probably a little more practical for that suit. But then we see him pull the bat ear blades out of the guy, and with a lot of blood. Like, I don't think that guy's dead, but he definitely felt that. And then we see Batman doesn't even clean up the ears. He's putting them right back on his mask, and those things are covered in thug blood. So, and then we have, a little standoff here at the end, to be continued in issue number 1. So that's all the story that we get here. Again, there's no dialogue, there's no real context for what's going on, but it's, Batman stopping a bank robbery or beating up bad guys or something we've seen quite a bit, so pretty standard. So then the rest of the book, we have like some more concept art here. Again, a really big boy Batman here, sort of Dark Knight Returns looking. We have some neat kind of armor detail here on the shoulders and the neck. That's kind of interesting. It looks like they're doing a lot more with the suit here as far as, offensive weapons and that kind of thing. Like, looks like everything's not in the utility belt on this version. So yeah, we see some more armor here. And there's an interesting look here I like where he doesn't have the ears on, but, it's a shorter ear look. So it's like, that seems like a neat creative way to kind of alternate back and forth between long ears and short ears Batman. So you can kind of do whichever one you like there. Then we see on this page, again, kind of calling back to Dark Knight Returns, it looks like there's an armor piece under the emblem on his chest, which was something that Frank Miller sort of pioneered in The Dark Knight Returns. But they've said that the bat symbol comes off, and it looks like it turns into an axe and maybe a hammer or something too, so that's interesting. We'll see how that plays out. And again, a lot of times when comics do that kind of thing, they'll set this stuff up, but then like the writers never play around with it, or like they forget about it immediately. So it'll be interesting to see how many of these innovations actually play out in the comic over, however many months, or if they just come up with these cool ideas and then forget about them. So yeah, so now we have a couple more pages, and this isn't labeled, but this looks like this is our version of Alfred that we are getting here. So it's a much more mercenary, kind of aggressive-looking Alfred. I don't think this guy is the butler. If he is, Bruce Wayne's butler here, he's just, it's a cover for what he's actually doing, it looks like. So yeah, it looks like, and again, we have him on a motorcycle here. It looks like he might actually be in the field with Batman, so that's interesting. That leads to maybe some cool stories, so a different way of handling the action. We'll see, where they go with that. And again, that's sort of been, I guess that maybe goes back to Jeff Johns' Earth 1 version of Alfred, where he was like former military and, took a lot more hand in kind of training Bruce and that kind of thing. And they did some of that in the Beware the Batman cartoon a while back. So yeah, it seems like the more modern takes of Alfred that we're getting are more aggressive, militaristic, and a sort of more of a support role for Batman instead of just being the butler. And again, it's nice seeing Alfred because, he's been dead in the main books for a few years now, and I really thought he would be back by now. He died in the 60s and wasn't gone this long. So, yeah, it'll be nice just having an Alfred in a book again, if nothing else. So here at the end, we have sort of a little interview here with Scott Snyder, just sort of plugging the Absolute line. And then we have this tagline here at the end: Batman is underdog, Batman is warrior. Now, I know they said in other things that Bruce Wayne isn't going to be rich in this. He's not going to be a millionaire. It sounds like they said he's like a mechanic or something. And I'm not crazy about this sort of modern trope they've had where Bruce Wayne can't be a good guy if he has money. I feel like this is like an internet criticism that was called out years ago that everyone's kind of latched onto. It's like, oh, Batman's the 1%. Really, Bruce Wayne's finances are just a story tool for him to afford all the stuff he has. To afford the gear and the cars and everything. It's not like it really plays into his personality. And this idea of Batman as an underdog, it's kind of like, well, Batman is in a world with superheroes and, villains with superpowers. Batman is sort of always the underdog. He, fights against Darkseid, when he has to. In the context of the DC universe, Batman is sort of always an underdog. Regardless of, what his wealth buys him. He has to go up against people with heat vision and, people that throw fear gas at him. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out. We've got the back cover here with, again, some of the same art, and then just kind of listing a bunch of the creative people that are involved in the line here. And, this all starts in October, so that's when we'll start getting some of this stuff. We'll see how this plays out. I'm on the fence of this. Some of the things I've heard that DC's said about the Absolute line, I'm not as crazy about it as I hoped I was going to be. I do like this preview book, though. Again, I don't know about bulky Batman here. We'll see how that goes. I mean, it definitely differentiates him visually from, regular Batman, main continuity version. So we'll see if that's just specific to this artist, or, when someone else comes in to draw it, do they draw a more traditional physique for Batman? We'll see. People are, doing well with their thick boy Batman memes right now, though, so we'll see how that goes. So yeah, did you check this out? Or, what are your thoughts on Absolute Batman or the Absolute line in general? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching. If you'd like to follow me on social media, I'm on Twitter/X @Detective651, also on Instagram @Detective651. Be sure to check out my t-shirt store at tpublic.com/user/Detective651. Got a lot of nerdy designs on there, and there's sales all the time, so check it out frequently.
That's Thug Blood.